This video is on the Industrial Revolution. So the first question is summarize the characteristics of the factory system. The factory system, which came out during the Industrial Revolution, involved centralized production in large factories powered by machinery and employing a significant number of workers. It marked a shift from manual labor to machine-based production. Question 2, how did the factory system impact the location of production? The factory system led to the concentration of production in more urban areas because factories required a large workforce. So the more populated an area, the more people available to work in that factory. And access to resources like water and transportation. Question 3, how did the factory system devalue the individual labor of each worker? The factory system devalued individual labor by dividing tasks into simple repetitive actions, reducing the skill required for each job. Workers became interchangeable, leading to a loss of specialized craftsmanship and a more personal connection to your work. Question 4, who were the Luddites and what was their goal? The Luddites were a 19th century English textile workers who protested against machinery and the use of it because it was taking over their jobs. The goal was to destroy the machines because they believed it threatened their livelihoods. Question number 5. What is the historical debate on the question of living conditions of industrial workers? The historical debate on living conditions of industrial workers revolves around whether the Industrial Revolution improved or worsened their quality of life, with arguments considering both economic progress and the harsh working conditions that they were put through. Question number 6. How did Frederick Engels describe the living conditions of the working class in England? Frederick Engels described the living conditions of the working class in England as just dismal, highlighting overcrowded and unclean housing, long, strenuous hours, and very poor health conditions. There's a book written around that time called The Jungle. I forget who it was written by, but it highlighted in factories, especially with food factories, how little they cared about the quality of the production of the food that they were making. If you lost a finger and it went in the food, nobody cared. It was just part of the food now. Question number 7. What did Engels argue about the impact on family structure, especially with women working? Engels argued that the factory system disrupted the traditional family structure because it separated the families due to the long working hours, and with women and children now working in factories, it strained family ties. Question number 8. What prompted the creation of mines and collieries in the Act of 1842? The Mines and Collieries Act of 1842 was prompted by concerns about the harsh working conditions in mines, particularly for women and children. It aimed to improve safety and limit the working hours for the vulnerable groups of people, like the women and children. Question number 9. Highlight one of the hazardous conditions child laborers faced. Child laborers faced hazardous conditions such as working in mines, especially in mines they were exposed to toxic gases, harmful dust and stuff, and at the time they weren't smart enough to use dust masks, goggles, nothing like that. So it led to a lot of health conditions, and there were things like collapsing tunnels, and especially with the long working hours, it's very strenuous on the people. Question number 10. Describe 2 attempts to reform child labor. 2 attempts to reform child labor included the Factory Acts of the 19th century, which gradually restricted child labor hours and improved the working conditions, and movements advocating for compulsory education to keep children out of the workforce. meaning that they, were forced to go to school instead. Question 11. Describe the Chartist movement. The Chartist movement in 19th century Britain sought political reform, advocating for the rights of working class individuals. That's about it for this assignment.